rabbis of yesteryear. Now here, on the eve of Sivan, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, it marks the Hilula of a really famous rabbi. His name is Rav Ben ציון Aton Harishon, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, one of the great rabbis of his time, respectively, very, very much so. He became the father of another famous rabbi, Rabbi Shabtai Aton, who we'll speak about in due course. Now, Rav Ben ציון came from great rabbinic auspices himself. His father's name was Rav Meir, and his mother's name was Rabbanit Mazal, and he was born in Greece, in an area called Rhodos. Rhodos is a place that we've spoken about on various occasions inside this series. Naturally, Greece in Hebrew is called Yavan. So while he was young, I think the family would move, or he would move to the land of Israel, and he would go on to study in, let's say, the bastion of the Sephardic Yeshivat of Israel, named Yeshivat Porat Yosef. I think at that point in time, it was part of the old city of Jerusalem. Remember, Jerusalem being one of the four holy cities of Israel, along with Tiberias, Tzfat, and Hebron, respectively. So, as we stated before, Rav Shabtai Aton was his famous son, who would very much, I think, help his father, Rav Ben ציון, establish the Yeshivat Reshit Chachma. Very interesting enough. And it's a place, I think, with a great Torah study. It was started up from him. I think it was under the name of Rabbi Eliyahu D. Vidash, another great rabbi. He happens to be one of the great rabbis of Tzfat and Hebron, respectively. He was author of the Torah book called the Rashit Chachma. It was, I think, opened up in the Makor Baruch neighborhood in Jerusalem, a place we visited in this channel, respectively. And I think afterwards it would move to the Sanhedrin neighborhood in Jerusalem, and very much his son Rabbi Ben ציון Aton is very much an integral part of it. Rabbi Ben ציון Aton Hasheni, so that I believe is the son of Rabbi Shabtai Aton, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very great rabbi in of itself, and a lot can be said within regards to the yeshiva. I think it was established under this name was of Rabbi David Nieto. I think happened to be the author of the second book of Ksari, and Rabbi David Ben Pinchas Nieto, who I believe was a head rabbi in London and a specialist physician also. He was actually from Venice, and he passed away in London, I believe, in the year 1728. He was a famous rabbi over there, and especially in the community in Livorno. But be it as it may, Rav Ben ציון Aton was a very great rabbi. So he was learning in Yeshivat Porat Yosef, which was a phenomenal and a very, very important job at that stage in time. And it obviously brought out a huge amount of responsibility. He was starting up all these important things. I think it's actually quoted from the verse in Psalms in chapter 111. It says the word Reshit Chachma, the beginning of the wisdom, let's just say. The fear of the Almighty is good for all who, let's just say, does its guidance and endures forever. So, so we mentioned about how it was named after Rabbi Eliyahu Vidash of Sfat and Hebron. Now, he passed away sadly, and I believe, just to confirm the date, it was on Rosh Chodesh Sivan in the year Tafshin Lamed Hey. He would be buried in the Har HaZeitim, the Mount of Olives burial plot in Jerusalem, and it's actually written on his matzeva, on the tombstone, with a Pei Nun, let's say abbreviations, Harav HaGadol Da'asik Bo'raita Tadira Asher Kol Yamav Kadesh LeTorah HaKdosha Avodat Hashem Yitbarach B'Ni'ima Kedusha V'Lamdot Na'alot V'Atzilut Rabbi Ben ציון Aton Zecher Tzadik Livracha. So I believe he was buried, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, it was, I think, he passed away on Rosh Chodesh Sivan around that point in time, and it was on Motzei Shabbat, I believe, was the burial. Now, I believe his descendant was another great rabbi, Rabbi Shabtai Aton. Or actually, I think it was his grandson, Shabtai Aton, if I'm not mistaken. And Rabbi Ben ציון Aton Hasheni is another great rabbi, another descendant of his. I think he currently lives in a moshav in Israel, if I'm not mistaken. I think in the road called Menachem Mashiv in Jerusalem. He is now, I think, the head of the Yeshivat Reshit Chachma Hashniya, and the author of the book Habnei Amakom Hasheni. Now let's just explore a few important informations, tidbits with regards to Rabbi Shabtai Aton. He passed away in the year 2006. He was actually born in the year 1925. He was one of the great rabbis of the Yeshivat Porat Yosef, and was part of the Moatzot Chachmei Torah, part of the Shas political party, obviously the Rosh Yeshiva of Reshit Chachma, which we've spoken about before, and was very much famous rabbi of his time. Obviously, he had many great students, let's just say, in of itself, many, including Rabbi Ben Sion Aton II, who was, I think, descended from him. Rav Shlomo Hanania, who was his son-in-law, I think it was head of the Beit Midrash, called Aliyat Beit Hanania, if I'm not mistaken. This was his son-in-law. There was Rav Akiva Aton, his son, which was part of the Shas political party also. Also Rabbi, another, I think, of his relative, I think his brother's son, if I'm not mistaken, I have to double check, he's from Jerusalem, Rabbi Ben Sion Mutzafi, who happens to be he was a Talmid of Ben Sion Mutzafi of Rabbi Shabtai Aton. And obviously he's a Rosh Yeshiva of Bnei Tzyon, one of the most famous rabbis of modern day. Also Rabbi Shimon Ziat, I think it's his son-in-law of Rav Shabtai Aton, so naturally the form of descendant of Rav Ben Sion, who's a Mashkiva of Yeshivat Raishit Chachma, Rav Reuben Shirabani. Now, the great rabbi we've spoken about on this series, what a ram in Yeshivat Yakirei Yerushalayim, I think actually quite near the Makor Baruch neighborhood, quite near where Reshit Chachma was in its day. Now, among the books of Rav Shabtai Aton, the son of Rav Ben Sion Aton, include the Ruach Chachma, which was a Likud on the Tanakh, Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim, and Shas, various respectively, and Reshit Da'at, which I think was actually printed after Rav Shabtai passed away, if I'm not mistaken, in Jerusalem. I think through the Yeshiva Reshit Chachma, I think on Yud Bet Shvat Hey Tafshin Samach Tet. But friends, it's a Hilula over here of Rab Ben Sion, who was a very great rabbi of his time. I recommend everyone to learn more within regards to him. Friends, we're a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. If you descend from any of the great Chachamim we are speaking about, please let me know. I would love to hear more. If you happen to descend from or feel anyone's interested in watching any of these videos, please share the videos to other people. Also, we're a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. So wishing you all well, and take care, and have a fantastic night.